Hello, beautiful beings. I am so excited to share today's episode with you and talk about and work on some exercises that work to remove the blocks that stop us from making change. And so, if we're trying to make change in our body, we need to recognize that there is a relationship between our mind and our body. And so, if we only look at the components in our body, we actually miss a huge factor that you literally cannot make that change until you address what's going on in the mind and what signals are being sent to the body. Your nervous system is set up that everything you think, believe, feel, and talk about is sending signals to your body. So if that's not addressed, you will just recreate and continue to get what you've always got. So this is a really important component to look at, but not only is it important, it's so valuable because it actually makes everything we want to do much more achievable and that much easier. So why wouldn't we want to look at it? Sometimes there's a bit of fear with looking at these things because it we think it might be hard or it might bring up stuff that makes us uncomfortable, but it's not. It's actually really encouraging because it shows us our greatest powers, and you will actually feel more powerful because you will have addressed what's holding you back, and it will give you that state of strength and courage and empowerment that you've been hoping for to propel you to get to where you want to go. So let's get started, my beautiful beings, and let's get working on finding the most beautiful aspects of yourself that you may have been hiding that can help you get exactly where you want to go. So, we want to address our nervous system. The easiest way to think of this is whenever you're having a thought or a feeling, or you harbor a belief that you believe to be true, you've maybe just never challenged it, it's constantly sending electrical signals through your body. That's how your nervous system works, right? They're emotions, they're energy and motion. And so they kind of transmit signals. Typically, that nervous system is sending out signals to your body to do certain things. And one of the big aspects is it signals release of hormones that help your body do the different things you want to do. And we always think of hormones as being reproductive, but they also are telling your body that it's full, telling your body that it's needs to eat slower or faster or more or certain things it needs. It's telling your body that it needs sleep, or telling your body how to have better sleep or when to go to sleep. Literally everything you do is a signal that helps the release of a hormone that helps your body react and do what it is meant to do in your best interest. So, what happens if we have signals we've just been sending for so long that are working against goals we have now? That if it's something we want to change, then we've obviously been sending the signals that get us where we are now. So we want to change those signals, right? So think of it this way. I love this saying, the ancestor to every action is thought. If you want to change your actions, if you want to change your body's actions or reactions, there has to be a thought. The ancestor to that action was a thought. So there has to be a thought associated with it. And we have to figure out what that is to make sure that maybe it's misdirected. Maybe it's based on a belief we've just had for so long. And so it's sending signals in that old pattern. And what happens is if we're using these same old thoughts, then we're going to get the same old actions. So we need to figure out what are the ones we want to change or tweak or slightly adjust to get us where we want to go. Can you imagine if what you're trying to do or trying to get to or trying to achieve is just a matter of changing the thought? It really can be that easy. Now, there can be many thoughts associated with it, so we want to make sure that we address all of these. And I'm going to take you through a few processes that will help you. But it's really important to recognize that that's the root of all of this. And so we want to go there, figure them out, tweak them, adjust them, and then everything kind of flows much easier in the direction of where you want to go. And imagine that as power. That is your power. So why wouldn't you want to do this? And one of the easiest ways to look at this is to look at the judgments we have. And quite often, we are our biggest critic, but it's hard to recognize where we judge ourselves because we sort of look at it as justified judgment, and it's not. Really, what's happening is your body is always trying to help you based on what you're giving it. So we just need to figure out where it's kind of being misguided and misdirected. And so if we look at the judgments we have outside of us that may be directed as others, as well as the judgments to ourselves, really what we're seeing is the things that we see that aren't where we want them to be. But we're also seeing the lack. And this is where you want to focus on what you want, not what's missing. Because when you focus on what's missing, you're sending signals to get more of that. You want to always be looking for what you want because that is what sends the signals that give you creativity and problem solving abilities. And it will just look for more of that. So if you find yourself being very judgmental of yourself or others around you, then you can be sure that you're looking at the lack, and your body is going to be looking for more of that. So you want to be looking for what you want so that your body is looking for more of that. And they always use the example of the red car. You know, if you buy a red car, then all of a sudden you see a million red cars on the road. It's kind of what you focus on. So it's going to be really important to spend time looking for what it is you want. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, you want to just be looking for those possibilities. And how I encourage people to do this is, say you see someone who's working towards a goal, and sometimes you might, or is just working on something in life, and you might kind of focus on where their shortfall is or where they're not accomplishing it. I want you to challenge yourself to look for the signs in what they're doing that is suggesting they're getting there. Like, for example, if you just see that they're saying something different to themselves, or they've created a daily habit that although the results aren't there yet, you're like, oh, that's a positive change. Any little pieces you can see in others that show you that they're moving in a good, healthful, beneficial direction will help you also look for that in yourself and pay attention to that in yourself. And so be hypersensitive to the signs around you of the things and examples of people doing what it is you want to achieve, or the hints that may be showing up for you as to where you want to focus or might be interested, that might have little solutions or things for you to try that will head you in the direction of where you want to go. Now, the one thing I will say about goal setting, people always ask me is it valuable to have a final goal? And so, for example, that outfit that you want to wear at the end of your weight loss journey, or some event that you want to do. And it can be, it seems to be what people really like to do the most. And so, this is what I say: establish it. You can even spend time imagining yourself there. But then I want you to shelve it. I want you to put the dress at the back of the cupboard. I want you to set that date and just know that as it gets closer, you will focus on it more then. Because then you want to pull yourself back to the present and look at what you can do right now. Because if you're only looking at that goal that's way out there, you're going to be looking at the lack. You're going to be looking at the gap between where you are now and getting there. And so you'll be looking at what's missing. So it's great to have it, put it there, spend time thinking about it and imagining it in a way, but then pull yourself back to present. And I want you to take yourself to that place where what is that next first step you can make? What is the tiniest little step you can make towards where you want to go? And so this is where we start to have the challenges, the thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the doubts that kind of hold us back. And if you don't know what it is you might be thinking about that can be holding you back, I want you to do this exercise. I want you to pretend that you're going onto a big stage all by yourself. The lights are all on you, and you look out into the crowd, but it's all dark. You can't see anybody out there, but you know that there's tons of people who know you are out there. And you're going to tell them all about your dream and your goal. You're going to tell them about all that you are imagining for yourself and how you're going to get there and all you're going to accomplish. And I want you to run through in your head you saying all of this. And then I want you to be quiet for a moment. You still can't see anything, you just know there's people out there. And I want you to hear what the whispers are in the crowd. Are you hearing things like, they've said this before, they tried before, it's something that they're always trying to achieve and never get there, oh, it's all just big talk, it's it's in their genes, it's impossible to accomplish this, this is who they are, it won't ever change. I want you to spend a few minutes and go through all of the things that you might be hearing. And unfortunately, you may be inclined to say, yep, that's what I know these people would say. But it is more than likely that that's what you're saying to yourself. And so you have to challenge yourself that these are beliefs that you have, even if they're based on past results, it doesn't matter. Because when you go to the past, you did get those results. And so you don't want to go back to those same thoughts and beliefs because those are going to send the same signals to your body. So you want to challenge those now. You want to look at them and say to yourself, is it possible this isn't 100% true? What about this might not be true? So if it's losing 20 pounds, you've tried for years, it's never happened. And what you're saying to yourself now is, you're older, it won't happen, it's just too difficult, you've tried before, it never happens, you lose it, it comes back on. Whatever it is, I want you to say, is it possible? Have you ever heard the story of someone in their mid years losing weight that they were never able to before? Of course you have. Have you ever heard of someone being healthier in their midlife than they ever were before? Of course. Have you heard of someone doing an exercise or doing a race or traveling to a certain place that they never would have earlier in life? Yes, it's all possible. So you need to challenge that thought, course correct it, and start letting that doubt be gone, because that doubt is what is sending the old messages to your body and going to recreate what you've always got. And we're here to change that today. So you have to face that doubt head on. And I like the saying when people say, become indifferent to your doubt. So if you imagine it coming up, think to and challenge it, then go, okay, that's that old doubt. You may see it come up a few times. You may have to challenge it a few times in this process and go, ah, there it is again. I remember thinking this. I remember saying to myself that this doesn't have a place anymore because this doubt, this fear, this, oh, this always used to happen thought is going to be sending the same signals to your body to get what you've always got. So you have to throw it out. It's got to be gone. And when you say to yourself, okay, That sounds great. I'll throw it out, I'll challenge it. But how do I keep doing this? And it really is, it's a daily process. And the best way I can encourage you to do it is to do a daily check in with yourself. So you want to literally stop yourself and say, how am I doing today? What am I thinking? How am I feeling? Am I feeling positive about where I want to go? Am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling judgmental about myself? And then you challenge it. And you have to do what you need to do to get that thought in the past. You don't even need to worry about the future because remember, we're going to be looking at that lack if we're looking too far into the future. And say to yourself, what can I be doing right now in this moment as the smallest step to move in the direction of where I want to go? And so, one thing I want to say here is when people move in the direction of where they want to go and they feel that it didn't work or it doesn't seem to be getting them where they want to go or something happened and it's what you might perceive as failure and convince yourself that it's impossible, that is your biggest mistake here. Because when you head in this direction, if you're doing the smallest steps possible and then you hit a roadblock, all that is telling you is you just have to make a slight tweak. It is not to stop. It is not failure. You are going to hit these forks in the road that require small tweaks. And so, what I want you to imagine now is the road forward is like forks in the road, branches in a tree. You just keep moving, going a little bit to this side, a little bit to this side, and adjusting as you go. It's not just straight up. It's not, I'm going to do this perfectly and go up this way, because that's not how change happens. That's not how change happens in nature. It does not happen in the human body just in this direct line. If you get this plan off the internet to make this change, and it gives you all these steps, they're just not going to go perfectly. It's impossible. And everybody is so different. So you need to be adjusting for you as you go along this journey and constantly tweaking to go, oh, okay, now I see I'm going to do this. If it's something you want to eat every day and then you go, oh, I'm just so sick of eating this kind of way. Perfect. Don't force yourself. Don't say you failed. Just say, what could I change slightly to make it more enjoyable? What could I do that might make me want to enjoy this day after day in some fashion? What could I add to this? Take away, change, just to make it a little more possible for me. If you don't like it, if you don't feel motivated to keep doing it, if it just isn't working for you, it's not telling you you failed. It's telling you to just adjust slightly and keep going. And so when you do these daily check ins and you're adjusting and looking at things, there is a huge possibility that you will find great resistance with just stopping and doing that. I do this breathing challenge all the time with people, and it can be quite different, even with fitness challenges. You know, you'll sometimes say, okay, just 10 minutes a day, every day. And that sounds like nothing. And then you start doing it, it works well at first. And then all of a sudden you're like, I can't even find 10 minutes. And I will do it with breathing challenges and we'll say 2 minutes, just stop and take a few breaths. And people will find that they resist it at some point. And the one thing to know here is this is actually a really good sign because your body is set up to resist change. What is happening is your body has kind of established itself in the best way it can for what you do now. And so when you change, and this is the biggest reason we struggle with yo yo dieting, and we can actually end up worse off by making these drastic changes and then we revert back and gain more weight, or we were running and building distance and all of a sudden now we just can't even feel like we even want to go for a run or runs. It's because when we do these drastic changes, our body will almost fight us in the sense that it's like, don't go so crazy. Don't make these drastic changes because one, it can't adjust and figure out what you're doing at the same pace for you, but it's also going to try and always pull you back to what it knows because that is the safe place. That is the place where it is balanced the most it's known, it's adjusted everything to work most effectively in that place. So, when you try to do a daily check in, if you're trying to take the time to do yoga every day or take breathing exercises or just stop to chill, and you find yourself resisting doing that, that is because your body knows it's about to make a change. And so it's just trying to fight you just in case it's not building at the right pace or you won't keep it up. So know that that resistance is actually a really good sign that you are doing something. And so it's not to go, oh, this isn't working for me. I can't keep doing it. For some reason I can't do it. It's about just trying to pull back to the smallest step again and trying to add it in and try just every day because change is about habit stacking, right? It's about creating this small little adjustment. And this is how change happens in nature. And quite often, when we look to programs for fitness or health or nutrition or exercise, whatever it is, these are pretty drastic progressive changes that are hard for our body to adjust to. And so you want to always be looking at making the smallest step, the smallest change possible, and doing it for long enough until it becomes a habit for yourself. And then you're ready to make the next smallest step possible, work on it, keep repeating it. The other thing you don't want to expect here is that it goes perfectly. So, say you decide to do a breathing exercise every day. You're going to stop for a couple of minutes once a day. You do it for a week and a half. It goes great. You can feel your nervous system relax. You can feel the benefit of that oxygen. You know that it's good for you. And then all of a sudden you go to do it one day and you feel rushed and flustered and not focused and you just don't do it. And then the next day you just don't do it. That's that resistance to change, but it doesn't mean to stop doing it. That's your body going, oh, are we sure we want to be doing this? We're kind of in that comfort zone of where we were before. And so you just want to say to yourself, oh, my body's just checking in with me that I really want to be doing this. It's uncomfortable because I haven't been here before. It's a huge sign that you are getting there. And the one thing, the biggest mistake you can make here is now be hard on yourself for not doing it for a couple of days. Your body will receive the kindness. Go, oh, okay, we're uncomfortable here. This is new. This is change. Let's try again tomorrow. Let's do it for 30 seconds. Let's try and take it to the smallest step, make it comfortable, encourage ourselves when we do it. And that's when our body's going to start to receive it and go, oh, this is a good feeling. I can do this. What can I do? So, when you feel that it's all too overwhelming and you can't imagine making this change and your thoughts are bringing you down, you want to say to yourself, how can I persuade myself that this is possible? That will help bring up a lot of the emotions that might be holding you back. And you just imagine yourself as your own coach. You've hired yourself to coach you as another person. And what do you want to hear? What would you tell that person if they were someone saying to you about their frustration with trying to move forward and make these change? And then I will suggest to you to use your imagination. It is your most creative source of problem solving, of creating solutions. Because if you can imagine these things, so imagine yourself doing the next first step every day. Imagine yourself taking the next step. Imagine yourself being that person who you are trying to become, that those changes you're trying to make are part of a healthful you in your everyday. Imagine, because the body, the nervous system, does not know the difference between real or imagined. So play, be creative. Imagine you incorporating daily what it is you want to be. That imagine will help your nervous system receive those messages. It will help it become more natural with those messages and thoughts and feelings. And so, as they start to really happen in your life, it will be more receptive to, oh, I know this. This is familiar. These are the signals I want to send to myself. This is positive. I always feel good when these thoughts and feelings come through. So, I'm going to receive them more. Imagination is one of your most creative sources of making any change in your life. And then you want to work to take that inner world that you're creating, that imagination, that belief, and make it match your outer world. So you want to set yourself up for success. So whether that might be having a corner of a room where you can go and do some quiet breathing or yoga and stretching, or you want to create a small space that allows you to exercise every day, or read that book where you know you can be uninterrupted and have that downtime to help you chill. Or maybe you want to set aside that time where you prepare healthy foods to help you through the week. You want to do all you can do to make sure the thoughts and feelings and visuals in your brain are working for you, as well as everything you see around you is supporting you too. And when I say that, you want to also be cognizant of the influences that are around you. So ask yourself this question: are the TV programs that I'm watching, is the social media that I'm on, are the people that I'm talking to, are they feeding my dream and my goals? Or are they feeding my fear and my doubts? And you want to make special effort to work towards ones that are supporting you, and try to counteract any that may not be by either letting them go, putting them aside, not focusing on them for a while, and making sure to feed yourself inside and out on where it is you want to be going. Anything, anything that supports that feeling that you are heading in the right direction, that it is possible, are the things you want to be looking for. But that includes you. You need to be feeding yourself. So if it takes stopping yourself to course correct, then you want to do it. And if it takes course correcting stuff that is influencing you, then you want to do that as well. You have to remember that change happens slowly. Change that sticks happens slowly, very, very slowly. And the other thing is, it doesn't happen linear. It doesn't happen in a straight line. It's going to fluctuate. And I even like to say it happens in cycles. So the other big mistake I see in people when they're working towards their goals is they either hit a roadblock or they hit a point where they almost go backwards, or they flatline or pause. All of those are necessary for different reasons in our cycles of change. And so I often describe this in the cycle wheel. Imagine that, you're improving, things are going well, you're starting to make change, and then it feels like you go backwards or you just halt. What's happening is those are things that are happening in your body. Imagine your nervous system rebalancing, your body's trying to make change. So when these things have to happen, Sometimes you're not going to be seeing results, but it's trying to balance. It's going, okay, they want to do this now. I'm getting the messages. I have to kind of change the equilibrium. Imagine that you're changing the hormones in your body because you've changed the messaging. It needs to readjust. And if you're calm and gentle and kind with yourself as you go through these plateaus or these backwards changes, then your body is going to propel forward. If you freak out and try and do everything harder or more, then it's going to put the brakes on, because it's going to be like, whoa, we didn't even get to rebalance what we had changed. Now they're going harder and more. This can't be good. And your body is going to put the brakes on. So you want to go with the flow. You want to know that when change happens naturally in your body, it has these ebbs and flows. And so when you can watch progress and then let it flow backwards a little bit, imagine that your body's going to keep kind of trying to slowly revert back to what it was used to, and just let that happen gently. Don't feel you did anything drastically wrong. It may coincide with a weekend where just all of your goals and strategies went off the rails. That's okay. It may not even be correlated. But the truth is, you want to just relax and go, okay, let's slowly bring this back in line with what I want. And you also need to know that as you're going in this direction, that ebb and flow happens forever. So don't feel like all of a sudden you're going to be this healthy eater, everything's going to be fixed and headed in the right direction, and you'll never have to go off track again. That's just not how it happens. That is not how anything happens in nature. So you want to head in this direction. You want to course correct when you feel that you are hitting roadblocks, or you want to change things to make them easier for you. And when it feels like you get way off, you go, okay, I'll give you this time to adjust, and then we're going to come back. That's how you make change. And so you go through these ebbs and flows, you go through these cycles. But what you know as you go through the cycle is that if you go with the flow of how this is happening, each cycle gets a little bit better. You go a little bit higher each time. So it takes time. But the slower the progress, the more your body will have balanced and settled into it and be able to maintain it. So you want to support it, and you want to know that it feels like it's taking forever. That's almost a blessing, because it can stick with it. It will have made the internal changes to help accept it and maintain it, because it will feel natural and normal to it, and not this drastic change that it wasn't used to. And finally, I want to leave you with this last message to remember, because through all of this, you've heard me say it before, you want to be kind to yourself. And the easiest way to make change is when you can do it through inspiration and not motivation. And so I like to think of motivation usually comes from, sounds harsh, but a negative source. So motivation comes from, I want to change my weight. I need to be more active. It suggests that something's wrong that you want to fix. Inspiration is, I love this feeling. I love going for a walk every day. It makes me feel good and rejuvenated. I love when I eat healthful vegetables at lunch. I love that feeling of energy that I get from it. And so when you can focus on what feels good and kind to you, what you love doing, what inspires you, you have the ability to do this effortlessly. That's what inspiration gives you. So focus on what you love. Focus on what makes you feel good. When things feel off the rails, focus on taking care of yourself and being kind to yourself, and saying to yourself, what might I be doing that isn't supporting myself, that I can challenge and throw out the window? How can I be the kindest possible to help myself move forward in this next step? That is always your guide for where you want to be going when you're trying to break through these blocks that are holding you back. This, my friends, is where your power is. And I'm going to leave you with this message. You are a beautiful being just as you are. That's why I always refer to beautiful beings when I'm speaking in these episodes. But when you embrace your true beauty and prioritize your wellness and self care, you shine even brighter. And this, my friends, is what illuminates your path to your highest potential.